Start recording. Good morning. Everybody happy? Everybody here? Anybody here yet? That'll be a start. Come on in. Welcome to the SHAC. I'm a little late to the party because I had a quick battery change. I realised that the batteries were running out. Come on in. Beautiful day today. Spring is in the air. Isn't it lovely? Is it nice where you are? Is it nice where you are? Where are you? Where are you? Are you in England? Are you in Kent? Because that's where we are today on the SHAC bus, aren't we? I really enjoyed going back to the orchards. It took me back in my head to when we were kids. It's nice, isn't it? And it's funny because today's little picture, our little miniature that we're going to draw of the hop farm, and that takes me back to when I came back from my travels. I was gone for 15 years, you see. So that'll be nice. Because, you know, it's as Keats says, a long time. Was it him? Ever let the fancy roam, pleasure never is at home. And, you know, you can read into that what you will, but in the end, we may not be able to travel very, very far right now, but our minds can take us to wonderful places. That's what I think, anyway. I think that's part of the magic of the SHAC, actually, when we go on our little SHAC bus tours, don't you? And so today we're keeping it local. We're having a little bit of a staycation, and we're hanging out in Kent, and yeah, and we're learning some little tricks, some design tricks at the same time. A little doodle. Let's have a little doodle. Come on in. Everybody all right? Sound good? Morning, Paul. Our friend Paul Church is in the building with you if you've got any questions for him, if you're looking for anything. And I would suggest that we crack on. Anybody here yet? Yeah, look, there's loads of you. Good morning. Come on in. Grab a chair. It's great to have your company. I can't see any of the messages. I don't know. I must have clicked a button. I can't see a thing, but I do know that there's a few of you here. So, shall we do some doodling? Have you got your sketchbook with you, your tracing pad? We're going to stick to the tracing paper today. We'll have a little recap, and then we'll go from there. Have you got your tea or your coffee? We'll have a look at what we did. What we did on. Are you ready to go? I'm not hustling, am I? I just want to get started. Is it 10 o'clock? Yes, it is. Welcome to the SHAC. Safe, happy and creative. Stay home and craft. And that's what we're going to do for at least 1 hour today. So let's check what we're on. Camera number 2. Oh, Barbara. I was so concerned about the volume. Excuse me a moment. I forgot to put the cameras on. That's all right, though. That's why we come early. Here we go. Let's see if it works now. Yeah. Cool, that's an interesting view, Gray. There, that's better. In the back of the net. And then this one is great. Good. So, let's have a look where we were. As you were, back on your heads. Right. Now, what we did on Monday, we doodled the apple orchards in Kent. We're hanging out in Kent on the bus. And then I suggested, do you remember I suggested that instead of drawing realistic apple trees and realistic fields, we throw a really lovely doodle at it, and we use the fields to design beautiful patterns. So you can see that this is the one that I was working on, and this is the one that I'd done prior. And then, so what I did this morning, I thought, right, okay, so we've been to Yalding, we've done that, and Sittingbourne, and we've been all around the houses, and now we're going to carry on along our little bus route. See the road along the bottom? Let me just put so we did a template, didn't we? So that our pictures sit within that's better. Right. So today I thought we'd go to East Peckham, which is very close to my heart, and more will be revealed. So you can see here you've got the rolling hill, Let me take my pencil. Do you remember we drew the rolling hill, didn't we, through the 3 pictures? And then we did the fields. Doesn't that look pretty? So we've got the rolling hill here too. And then we've left a gap right down the bottom. We made a line, didn't we, for the road. And that road, that little gap there, that will help us. So the picture is square, and that will give us a little breathing space if we want to write Kent, the Garden of England, if we want to write Yalding, East Peckham. We've got that little breather space. We've given ourselves that road. Of course, we're just trundling along on the SHAC bus, looking out of the window, because that is the safest way to travel, isn't it? Put a mask on, sit by the window. Have you got your packed lunch? What would you put in a packed lunch if you were going on a day trip? Sandwiches? I don't know. Pork pies? Did you hear me snort then? Pork pies? Terrible. England was built off the back of pork pies, our Jim says. I do like a pork pie. Anyway. English mustard, Coleman's got to be done. What else would you put in your packed lunch if we were going? Or would you go all healthy? You wouldn't, would you? Would you? What, salad? With rocket and all that good stuff? And tomatoes? Bit of cuke? Would you? I'd have a cheese and pickle sandwich and a pork pie with English mustard. But we're not going to have that till lunchtime, and then we can sit near the hops because the sun will be just beaming down on us, and there'll be a lovely smell, a hoppy smell. So, and this is an oast house for those of you who you may be familiar with them in your part of the world, but we have these everywhere where I live in the southeast of England, where we are. These are like a landmark of Kent. They're everywhere, right? And these are called oast houses, and yeah, they're everywhere here and in Sussex, all over the place. And they are actually just drying. They're like drying rooms and drying kilns for the hops, and the hops make the beer. So, do you know what was I looked up yesterday? That was good because I was looking up a little bit of information about oast houses and hops. And do you know that in the 1800s, and I didn't even have to make a note of this, there were 5,000 breweries in the United Kingdom. 5,000. Now there's 200. 5,000. Yeah, so plenty of oast houses. Right, so let's get started. You've got your pencil. What pencils do we use? Any pencil, an HB pencil, cheap as chips. All you need is a pencil and a piece of paper to join in this lovely SHAC. If you're feeling plush, you can treat yourself to some Faber-Castell sketching pencils. They are the business. I know that we've got them on the website. They're great when you start to transfer, which we will do, and they're great because they have different levels of hardness and softness. So, for example, you've got H for hard and B for black. Black being the blacker they are, the softer they are. So we've got lots of blacks. We've got an H, we've got an F for fine, and we've got an HB, which is bang in the middle, which is the one that we usually use, isn't it? Right, so shall we get started? Let's have a look. So I'm going to just have a little bit of paper to my side. Right, and now I would say the first thing to do is, should we get the hops in place? Should we get the hops? Have you ever seen hop vines? They're tall, very, very tall. And it depends what angle you look at them at. Let's have a look. They're very tall. So a lot of you will be familiar. A lot of you would maybe not have seen this before. But they're like grapevines, but they're hop vines, and they're tall, and the hops sort of drape over. They drape, and it's really fascinating to watch. So depending on the angle you're looking at, it looks like V's of green. Okay, very, very pretty, and very tall. And then there are little paths through. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to pick them, would you? Right? I mean, I'm no expert on hops. I don't even drink beer. Don't even like beer, let alone drink it. But I remember them. I remember them as a kid. And I remember the smell, you know, when they were drying them out, drying hops. So let's get started on this one. And what we want to do, right, have you got your hill, your rolling hill? That's a start, isn't it? Get a rolling hill. You up for this? Come on. It'll be fun. So we're going to get our rolling hill like that. We'll just bring that down. We've got our apple orchard overflowing, haven't we? And then let's just do this, because this is as straight as a die, right? So the first thing to do is make a line. It's all right, we're going to rub it out afterwards. But you could take a ruler or you can draw a straight line, and you're going to make a line across there like that. Do a line like that. That'll be your top. This is the road here. Okay, so then about just under halfway up. Just do about, you could do about halfway. They're quite tall, these vines. Right, there you go. So we're going to put the hop vine about there. Let's just do 2 lines, 1 and 2. This is the back, and this is the front. Yeah? So what you will see, what I've done here, right, what we're going to do is decide where the sun is, right? Or where it's that Leonardo again, it's that perspective like on the Last Supper. So what we're going to do, you see how they are all coming towards the farmhouse, the big oast house. So what we'll do is we'll put a point there, just put a point in the sky, like that. And then when you start to draw your lines, you'll see it's going, all the lines are going to the top of that hop, the cowl as they call it, right? So all your lines are going in that direction. Okay, doesn't have to be exact, but kind of, it just helps you to get a bit of perspective like that. In fact, bring it over a little bit, put it there. Okay, just put it there. And then that way, it will just help you get a bit of interest. So let's do the zigzags here. This is what we're going to do now. Just bear with me a minute. I'm trying to get my head around how I did this, because I did it once, right? Now these zigzags, they're not zigzags, zeds. They're like softer than that. They're like that, right? So they go, look, 1, 2, 3, and then they curl over the top, but they're not sharp. You can always soften them afterwards. If it's easier for you to do zigzags like that, do it. Right, and then we're going to come up, and now this time we're going to bend it over a little bit. So see, we're coming that way. So the bends are going to be a little bit more, there you go. Do you see what I'm doing? Just bring, cool, that's a little bit extreme. That's fall over, Gray. Shut up. So it's because I'm trying to show you. Right, here we go. That's better. So it's the outside one that's going to be like that. So it goes up and a little bit straighter, up and a little bit straighter, over, up. That one comes down a bit more like that. Then they start to come round a little bit more like that. And then that one's up and comes down that way. So it's this kind of thing, like a concertina. See? Can always change it a bit afterwards. And then when we've done that, now what we're going to do is put the rows in, because there are rows. See, so these lines here, they're going to be next. Don't do that. We'll start over here. We'll start with this one and we'll put the row in. So we'll put that row in, and then we'll put that row in, and now we're going to put that row in. This is the top of the vine. Have a look. You see? You with me on this? There we go. See how it's leaning over? We could do another one. Right, and then we can lean that over as well. And then we can make them come round like that. So it really looks like, look, there you go. Now you've got your perspective. See what I mean? I think that works quite well, actually, don't you? Let's have a look. There. That works, doesn't it? So, now we've got that, let's have a look. And what we want to do now is start just introducing the depth. So let's just put that there like so. And then just to give it a bit of perspective now, we've got those lines there. But what happens now is if you look here, it goes at the back as well. It will come down like that, right? So at the back here, it's going to come down. These ones are actually like you can properly see. So this one now, you won't see the back of that one. You've just got to think perspective. We're going to get rid of that line, see? So then this will come up here, and then at the top it will come down and it will hit that one. And it will come down and it will hit that one, and it will hit that one. So it's just an easy way to draw rows of hop vines. When this could be anywhere, right? But we're going to pretend that we've come to East Peckham, okay, the hop farm. It's very beautiful. I mean, now it's a bit commercialised, and I don't think they even use it as for hops anymore. I'm sure they don't. I haven't. The last time I was there, it was a bit of a tourist attraction more than anything. But the oast houses are still there. There's rows of them, like loads and loads of rows of these. 1, 2, like 12 or so, all in a row. Very nice. So you see what we've got going on is quite arty, because we've got our patterns in this field, and then in this field we'll bring stripes in. I just don't worry about all the noise that I put in here. I just wanted to get I just did that. I'm going to make that artier, but I did that just to get the perspective, because I was trying to figure out what I was doing. Yeah, that's it. See, it makes total sense once you put the lines in. Right, so we've got these, it's like ribbon. You see, up and down, like that. But what makes it look right, get your rubber, get your eraser. You all right? Everybody happy? Our little SHAC bus is half empty today, isn't it? I can tell. It's all right, though. The important people are here, aren't they? I guess that's it. People are, they're out in the garden. They're going back to work. The cloud is lifting, isn't it? Can you feel it too? Have you had your second jab already? We haven't had ours yet. We're May, latter part of May. Dave's a bit earlier because he's a bit older. There. See? Now you can see how it's interesting how you can get that effect. Now we get rid of the lines, you see, and it gives us, because it seriously does look like that. And then at the front, what we're going to do is just put this. This is like the actual erection, if you like. Cool. There's a whole structure that it's all wrapped around, and so it starts at the front here. So you're going to have your posts. Let's just put the posts in, right? And this runs all the way through, just like a vineyard. And then these really tall vines, they climb all the way up, but they're hop vines. There you go. Doesn't that look cool? And then we'll bring that in like that. Let's tighten this up a bit. That looks good. We'll make the path in between a little bit thicker, a little bit wider, so that the blokes can get in, the men and women can get in. Big industry in Kent, back in the day. Hop picking. Hop farms, they used to come in their droves, all the hop pickers, I remember, by the busload from London. They used to come by their thousands. Yeah, I still remember that from when I was a kid. The pickers used to come in on the big trucks from London. Right. How times change, eh? Right, so we'll leave that. We've got our... Have you got your hops kind of... Got your vines? We'll sort that out afterwards. Now we're going to put the house in. Should we put the house in? I think that would be cool. Let's put an oast house in. So we're going to pop an oast house in here. I think that would be nice, don't you? You up for that? I think that would be cool. I'm looking forward to that one. I think that if we put an oast house in there, that will work really nicely. Let's have a look. So the oast house is going to sit about here. Let's just get it roughly. They're round. Do you know that they're round? Let's just get the shape in. So that's going to be, let's just put the roof in like a witch's hat. Let's just put the witch's hat in first. We can always change the perspective and everything afterwards. Just very lightly put a witch's hat down. Actually, it's a bit long, that, because there's going to be no room for the house. Right, so we'll put the witch's hat in. Then we'll put the little crick at the top like that. This is this little white thing here at the top of the, it's called a cowl, and it pivots. It actually moves because you put the hops, they sit in the roof and they dry out in the roof. And so these things move around, and they, depending on the wind, you see, it depends entirely on the wind, where the wind was blowing. And then the hop farmers would move this around to catch the warm air so that they could dry the hops in the roof. There's quite a big operation, like I say. So we've got that, and then we've got the house itself. So let's put the house in there. This would be nice, right? But the thing is, instead of going this way, let's put a bit of perspective on. Let's make it a bit funky and go that way, right? So I'm going this way instead of that way with the sketch. And then I'm going to make it a bit arty. I'm going to bring it over a bit like that. Yeah, and then I'm going to bring the house, the actual house part in. See the house at the top? Because this was just the kiln, and this bit was where the hops were handled. But obviously they had other things going on in the house, didn't they? So put the roof in. That'll do. There's a roof. Then we'll put the house in. And we're going to put like a bit of weatherboard. So you get that a lot in this area. Our house has got weatherboard. It's like where half the house is brick to the top, to there, and then it's white painted boards, and then the windows are in here. So we put 2 windows in, I think, in the weatherboard. That's exactly what our house looks like, old, like that. So we put the windows in. Always white, aren't they? The woodwork's white. There we go. So we've got the weatherboard, we've got the white, got a door down here, because this is tucked in behind a little bit. So we put another window in there. Let's get a bit of a bigger window in the actual post. There, and then we'll put the windows in, little black squares. It's easy to doodle, really, isn't it? There you go. That's the door. That'll do. Bingo. Should we give it a chimney? That'll do. Chimney up the end. So that's like that, and then like that. And then that's the drying area, like that. There, I've made it a bit fatter. Looks a bit better now. Make it a bit fatter. There you go. Then put the cowl on the top. Give it a good angle. It's got something there, like a mechanism. Like I say, I'm no expert on hop farms, but I just remember looking at them. Right, so that's it. So that we've got our... This is cool, isn't it? It's not so hard. And then I think we need a sun, because that's going to be what the hops need. Have you got a little 5p or something to draw around? Yeah? Let's have a look. We'll pop that there, like so. When we came back, I came back from, when my marriage broke up, I came back from California with the children, and they would have been about 3 and 5, tiny little kids. And when I came back, because I'm from Kent, and I had to find a school for Grace, because she was just at that age, wasn't she? 5 years old. She had to come to school, and there's a little school in East Peckham. It's about, I'd say it's probably about 45 minutes from where Mum and Dad live. But there's a little school in East Peckham. Let's do the roof as well. And she got a place in East Peckham. And so that's where we moved. So that we could get a good school for Grace. And so I found this little house, but we didn't have any furniture at the time. because the furniture was still on the way over from America in a container, you know. And so we stayed in a little bed and breakfast because Grace had to go to school. It was too far from Mum and Dad's. So we stayed in a bed and breakfast round the corner, and it was literally within spitting distance of the hop farm, this little bed and breakfast. You could see the oast houses out the window. And then I'd take Grace to this little school in her little uniform. Oh, those are the days. Yeah. Little green uniform, as I recall. And yeah, so she went to the East Peckham primary school. And that's how we started our lives back in England again after, I mean, I'd been gone 15 years. So it was a bit of a, this is why East Peckham is really, it holds, I wouldn't say fond memories, because that's not quite, it was quite a time of turmoil in my life, you know. But it's all right now. You know, that was then and this is now, you know. But back in 1995, I was definitely licking my wounds. So let's have a look. And that's why I know what it looked like, because I sat and stared at it a lot. See, then you put a little house in, like that. Yeah. And I remember, when I'm going to put East Peckham here, East Peckham. And I can remember when this delivery, you know, like a removal van, when it arrived, and we had this tiddly little house in East Peckham, in Russet Road. And we were renting, you know, just we needed somewhere, and it was within walking distance of the little school. So you do what you got to, don't you? And I remember when this juggernaut arrived, it was vast, this thing, it was about 40 foot long. And the furniture started coming out the back. And we were putting it in the front door, and we were taking it straight through and out into the back garden because there was no room for it. It was so funny. We just didn't know. We didn't know where to put the stuff, you know, because you'd come from a big house in America to a tiny house in England. And I didn't want to lose all the antiques and all the beautiful stuff that I'd taken to America from Germany. Talk about a snail, you know, carry you home with you. and then we spent the next couple of months trying to shoehorn it into this tiny little 3 up, 3 down. I mean, tiny, you know. The garage. I don't think I was ever able to actually get in the garage. It was funny. You know, bedside tables, not something that was a possibility in this little house. You had got the bed in, but the bedside tables were a no-no. It was one of that, you know, the dining room, I never saw the dining room table because that was my craft room, because I was still trying to keep the business going. That's how I paid the rent. Cool, those were the days. Those were the days, you know. But you did what you did. And Grace loved the little school, you know. She loved the little school and they loved her. So now let's have a look. We're getting there, aren't we? You know, this one looks a little bit too like a witch's hat, but it's all right. I've got the idea. I've got the windows. I'm going to change that a little. That's why we do this on tracing paper, so that when we convert it, right, now let's have a look at the vines, right? Because now what we're going to do is, rather than straight lines, when we actually go to transfer them, they're going to be jiggly. See, because we've got to give that impression that they're not straight, are they? They're leaves. There's millions and millions of leaves and hops. Okay. There we are. Nice. So we'll get that started. That's definitely at the front, because you see, in a minute when we transfer this and we make a little picture with it, when we ink it up and we start putting the shade in, you know this is going to be wonderful, because this is going to be all dark in here. See, this is going to be, we're just putting the line art in, the rough sketch. Don't judge it yet. See, but when you put the shade in, it's going to be superb. So we've got that. Got the oast house. That's better. Got the oast house. We've got the roof. We've got the cowl. We've got the sun. We've got the apples. We've got the hills. It's all there now. East Peckham, you're in. okay? See, so what we were going to do, I want to talk, right, let's just leave it there for a minute, because what we were talking about doing was turning this into a little series of pictures, like vignettes, weren't we? Whether you use the Garden of England, or whether you make 3 little pictures in your area. You know, the idea is rolling hills with patterns. Now we're doing hop vines, which are going to have patterns in them as well. And then, of course, we're going to go down to the coast, you know, and we're going to go to Dymchurch. Dave said I said on Monday, he was talking about going to, what's it called? Not a place you'd want to go to anyway. Beachy Head. Let's take the bus to Beachy Head. I said, it's not that bad, Dave. We're not going to Beachy Head. We're not there yet. But what we were going to do, you see, I was talking about taking these little pictures and turning them into little miniatures like that. Look, isn't that lovely? See, so you could take that one. See, I think this is going to look beautiful. When we ink this up, you just need to ink it up on a piece of paper that's bigger than the 4-inch aperture. Now, I think it was Susan York? One of you on Monday suggested that perhaps we make, instead of doing 3 separate ones, see, so you got 3 little pictures and they all sit next to each other on the wall, which I thought would be a good idea. Sue said, I think it was Sue, she said, how about can you make a triptych one? So you could use, not so that you could use this whole picture, but so that all 3 pictures could hang together in one frame. And I'll tell you what, this is honest, I rang Dave and Lisa and said, they were already on it. They'd already made a couple of prototypes. They already had done a few of them. Look, you love this team, love them. They were so excited to get it right as well. It's brilliant. So you see, so we've got these frames. So this is brilliant because not only, so we could do separate ones. I still wouldn't draw it all in one piece. I'd still, when we're inking up, I'd put that on one, that on another, and that on another. But they're all contained in one. See, I think that's brilliant, don't you? So they're all contained in one frame. So we made these, and they are actually, just so you know, let me explain, they're actually 6x6s. You see, this is a 6x6 with a 4-inch aperture. So the reason we settled on this size is because, apart from the fact that it will be brilliant for this picture, because it's exactly same 4x4. 4x4 is quite a magic number because it works for our die cuts. That will look superb, right? It's for photographs. It's for our artwork. You know, when we do our artwork on 3.5 by 3.5, it exactly is perfect because it gives you, see how it gives you an outer edge. I'm just showing you this is pretty basic, but I'm just showing you how it sits on the outside. See, it just sits in there perfectly on a 4-inch. I wanted to show you something else as well. Like Linda Williams, she gave me a beautiful birthday card. Look at that. Oh, I know. So if you're a parcher, right, then look, so it sits just perfect. And then I was looking at Linda's. This is beautiful, right? So you could have like a photograph of Linda and me there, her birthday there, my birthday there. You just make a beautiful piece of artwork. So for parchers, this is perfect. I thought that was lovely, right? So that was interesting. Then the other thing I wanted to show you, let me just put her lovely artwork back, right? Then the other thing I wanted to show you was, for example, oh yeah, this is so cool. Right, so you know, you'll remember these, the shapes. Do you remember the stamp board and the shapes? Because I was looking at this and from an arty point of view, clearly you need this for this job. And, oh, and before I even go any further with this one, because then I said, right, well, you want to stand it up, Do you want to make it a tall one? Do you want to? So then we said, right, make it special for our shackers. Because this is it, we're developing this little print room, and we're selling this stuff and cutting and making really useful stuff. So for example, the card stands, we got the large card stands, we've got selections, we've got mediums and smalls. See, these are beautiful for standing, especially the parching stuff, this stuff, right? So if I, for example, let me just explain something. If I take one of the large ones, is that a large one or is that a super large one? Just bear with me a second. Which one have we got here? Because have I got a large one or an extra large one there? That's it, silly girl. Right, so if you take this one, this large stand, which is out of really thick card, so it's quite stable. But the idea is that because it comes to you flat, you can stamp, you can doodle, you can paint, you can make it match your. So we're going to give you a set of these free with a set of these. I said this would be really good if we give away the stand with these triptych sets, right? Because, so take the large stand, right? So we fold that up. Let me show you. It stands, let me just put my artwork to one side. What I like about this is if you wanted to do it tall, right? If you want to go portrait, it holds the portrait one really nicely, okay? So it works like that. That's how it works. It stands it up well. But the other thing is, it's a dual purpose, because if I go that way round, you can't see the top of the, see? You could snip it off anyway. But it holds it really beautifully as well. So you can use this like on your dresser or up on your shelf, and you haven't got to worry about framing it, put it behind glass and all that. It's just a beautiful temporary thing. I like this as a gift. So I was thinking, cool, you can start making Christmas presents. And then, okay, so I know I'm going back to my doodle, right? I am, honestly. But then I was looking at these, and then I said to Dave, one of the things I don't like, Dave, I said, is in the corners, because it's not beveled, there's a little tiny cut where you go over. And he said, we can't do anything about that. He said, but that's the back. Turn it to the front and you don't have those cuts. I said, oh, right, okay. So I turned it to the front. I like that better. And then I said, right, do you know what it needs? And I was fiddling today. I'm going to show you a trick. If you take the flat of a spoon, so on this side, you've got tiny, some more than others, but you've got these tiny little nicks where the blade has turned. Because it's not beveled, that's why they're beveled, so you don't have this, right? But you get these little tiny minuscule nicks. If you turn it over, there are no nicks on this side. But to get this side a bit softer, all you got to do is, if you take a spoon, right? I'm just showing you a trick. Take a spoon, and if you run this part of the spoon, this bit, right? You run it along there like that, and then along there. What it does is, see, if you compare it, that side's quite sharp. If I press hard, right, this side is soft. This is like you're just compressing the artboard. You're compressing it, and then that way, and because it's a square spoon, I can go right into the edge, and then I've got a really beautiful rounded frame on the front, and I haven't got the little nicks. Because I was like, well, I'm not happy with that, said the perfectionist. And but between us, we worked it out. And it takes seconds to burnish it with that's what you're doing really, you're burnishing it. And you're compressing the stamp board. So that's what I wanted to show you. This is on sale. We've got these. And now I want to show you something really arty. Okay, look at this. Okay, so this is my kind of wall art. If I were to take that, and this is a stamp, this is brilliant. This is Dave on the Platen Press. He did this. And it's on, the stamp board. These stamp board shapes. Yeah? So what he's done is, he's taken a stamp board shape, and now let me just put it in the middle so you can see it better. Right? So the thing is, because it's the same material as the frame, it looks really classy. But if I take one of the stamp board shapes, the smaller ones, and I lift it. So I'm going to put a shim, if you like, and the shim is the same. It's the same stuff. This is the same thickness as that. So if I put that down on there first, like that. Oh, and by the way, our roller tape, this is sticky stuff. This works very well. This will work brilliantly for assembling all this. Now, this one here, if you then set that on that one there, watch the shadows. Can you see how the shadow, it creates its own drop shadow because you've raised it, and it looks so classy. And I was just like, this is just scraps that I was looking at. But for example, if you just need something to raise, just to give you, look, this is the Fedotova, little bit of stamped art. But I love it, look. So the stamp shapes, they sit within these boxes so beautifully, look. There you go. If you saw that in a gallery, you'd say, do you know what? That is really tasty. I love it, you know. So I just wanted to explain how useful this 4x4 is. And then, of course, like Paul said, this would be brilliant for your die cuts, as you know, your paper cuts when we start doing that. Oh, and stamper alert, if you're a, let me just show you this. If you're a stamper, I just remember we did this on the telly the other day. See, the three-way overlay stamps, size-wise, I would stamp it onto the stamp board. But look, you could do Paris, London, New York. You could do London, London, London. Three different versions of its good self. Look, see, beautiful artwork. But as I say, I would stamp it so that it's the same tone and the same feel. I would stamp it onto the stamp shapes. I know a lot of you bought this. So there you go. That's what I wanted to say. You asked for it. We supplied it. We've got that. It's and because we had to, the problem that we had with this, again, and I can explain this, because of the size of these things, postage is an issue, right? It costs over £5 to send the pack out. So what we said was, well, all right, well, then we've got to figure that into that's got to be figured in. But, well, it's not figured in. We just got to be careful how we price it. So I said to Dave, what we're going to do? And he said, well, why don't you offer a pack of these as a gift, the stands, the large stands, and then that way when they give the gift, they've got the stand to offer up as well. So yeah, so there you go. That's ready to go. And I'm going to definitely be showing you some fabulous artwork in the Moment of Clarity on Friday at 3 o'clock. We're doing our Moment of Clarity with our butterflies, aren't we? Oh. Butterflies. Yeah. And if you order these stamps by lunchtime, you know we're doing these cherry green stamps, aren't we? If you order the stamps by lunchtime, I'm just thinking, cool, do you know what? That would look so good. You could do 3 butterflies, couldn't you? Ah, lost in thought. Yeah. Yeah, all right then. Cool, yeah. Because you've got the big ones. You've got 3 large big ones that would fit on there like a dream. Or you could do little ones, a little medley of little ones on one side. Or you could do a pair, little and large. Listen, if you're going to get if you want to join in on Friday and get your stamps, get them ordered by lunchtime today, and then we'll get them out today, and we'll get them out prioritised so that you get them in time. Hopefully. I mean, once it's out of our building, we can't do much about it, but we're going to do our best. So if you want to join in on Friday at 3 o'clock in the Moment of Clarity with me and put in those beautiful stamps through their paces, on the way through the website, get a pack of Waimea Falls parchment, designer parchment, Waimea Falls or Indian Summer or Toscana. Get one of those, right? And we've put a great price on them because I want to show you a really clever trick. Anyway, so there you go. That was that. I just wanted to explain. Sue York, thank you for the recommendation. We've put it through our paces. We know how it works. We know how to compress and burnish. All good. So where were we? Oh yes, that's right. We were in East Peckham. So, regroup, have a sip of tea, and start again. Everybody happy? Is anybody there with me today? Why do I feel so isolated? I don't know. I think sitting up here on my own in my garage has that impact. I'm not really alone. I know I'm not. So the last one is the dim church, the Dungeness, and that one I'd really like to do on Friday. So we'll leave that because I'd like to go to dim church on Friday. I'd like to stay here today, but what I want to do, because we are going to transfer these, right? We're going to transfer these to pieces of artwork, and whether or not you use this, whether or not you use this in a triptych or in an individual frame, I suggest that we use whatever we use. We want it to be about 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches. So it gives us an opportunity to layer it up, or, yeah. So whether you use stencil card, whether you use copy paper, whether you transfer this onto designer parchment, I think that's going to look beautiful as well. But we need to, in order to flip it back to the right way round, so if we look at it from the back, if we transfer this, to me it's the wrong way round. That needs to be over there. The lighthouse needs to be on the right. So what I want to do for the last 5 minutes with you is transfer it. You up for that? To do that, I think an HB is going to be the best one. I just need a bit of copy paper. This is a straightforward transfer trick. I won't worry about the patterns. I just want, I can do that on when we get to the actual artwork, which we're going to do. But it would be a good idea if we transfer. So now I've got to decide. I think I'm going to go with the one that I drew with you. I like that one. Yeah, I might use that one and that one. See, that's the magic of using them as separate entities, and then you can use the triptych frame to tie them in together. So I'm going to use this one. So to do this now, what we want to do is put graphite on the back. That's what I've got to do, is put some lead to the back, or so that when we transfer it, I've got something to transfer. Yeah. So now here we go. And I'm not too concerned about it being quite fat. I need it to be quite wide, the line art, because when I take a sharp pencil in a minute, you know, I'm always talking about these ones. In a minute, I'll take a hard pencil or a fine pencil, which are really detailed. And then when I flip this over, I'm going to catch the black pencil. So I'm deliberately going with an HB because I know most of you are just using an HB. But if I were to use a 4B or a 3B or a 5B, there'd be a lot more of the graphite on the back to transfer. But let's just do this now. I don't want to rush it, and I don't want to rush you. So this is where we can change up a little bit if we like. If we didn't like what we did, now's your chance to change it up. I'm not going to worry about the frame either. All I'm doing now is applying, if you like, lead or graphite to the back of the tracing paper, so that when I flip it over to that side, see, I'm already transferring it, but I don't want it this way around. So this becomes my template. And then once I've transferred my design, then after that I can apply it to whatever surface I've decided to work with. Now let's get a little bit more of a personality on this old shed. It doesn't matter if it's not the same as the one on the front. It's not interesting. That'll do. Put the old... Can always add a bit more personality to that afterwards. And we've got the apple trees in the background as well for perspective. That'll do. Right, and then we've got the hill here. So around we go. So yesterday, I went back to our old factory that we abandoned. We did as well. About a year ago, when COVID hit, we just ran for the hills, and unfortunately, we were right in the middle of a move, so we were just relocating from one end of Edenbridge to the other, and then all of a sudden we weren't allowed to be in the building. We had to go home, and everybody ran for the hills, and everything just got abandoned. Okay, and really for the last year now, we've been in sort of just taking it one day at a time, trying to keep everything going, but we just, it was like we closed the curtains on the old building, and we never, hang on, I think I'll go this way, and we just never went back, and then it was nobody's fault. It was just the way it happened. But for a year now, it literally, nobody's opened the curtains on it. It's just been left as it was. It was like we hit the pause button and that was the end of it. We forgot to resume the film, watch the rest of the film. And so yesterday, I took it upon myself. I took the initiative and I thought, this has got to be sorted, because we're paying so much rent on 2 locations. It's crippling. I said, we've got to start using this, or at least tidying it up. We can't leave it like this forever. And so yesterday I took the initiative, and once I got started, then Dave joined in and Steve joined in, and then a few others joined in, and we got a lot done, we got a lot done. It felt a lot better. But by the time I got home last night, I thought I'd been hit by a truck. I haven't done a lot of physical exercise in the last year. There. See, so what we're doing now is we're transferring. You could see, if I was happy to have it that way round, I've already got, it's a little bit, there's enough there to start my picture, But that's not the way round I wanted it. So I'm not going to be too concerned about the detail. I can always go back and do that. And then, like I say, so which one do I prefer? Do I like that one or that one? This is pretty good, actually. Not sure. What are you going to go with? What have you decided? And just while I'm thinking, when in doubt, hang about, eh? So this is a simple transfer trick we're going to do. Then on Friday, when we get together in the morning at 10 o'clock, actually, do you know what? I'm going to put the patterns in as well. On Friday, when we get together at 10 o'clock, what we'll do is we'll transfer this. We've got between now and then to decide what we actually want to work on. Now I'm going to go with a triptych. I'm going to make a triptych like with the frame, and I think I'll transfer mine onto a piece of stamp board. I think I'm going to do that, so that then, I mean, forgive this isn't exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm going to ink my work onto the stamp board. I think I'll do that. Or yeah, because I think it would just look lovely. Yeah, I'll have a little play beforehand, but I think that's what I'm going to do. And then I'll make 4 little pictures of the Kentish countryside. This thickness that I'm doing now, see how the lines are getting more spaced apart as I'm coming to the front. Same as the zigzags are getting bigger as they come to the front. And the same with this one. Because I'm making it quite thick at the moment, it doesn't look so good. But that's only so that when I transfer it, I've got enough blackness. I'll use a very fine pen to do the transfer. See, it's much finer here, and that's what I'm talking about. So when we do the transfer, what do we use? We use these pens. Have you got these? The Micron pens. They're worth having in your cupboard. They're definitely worth having in your cupboard. The Micron pens, they're beautiful. I mean, if you're in the SHAC, then you definitely want a set of these. But then again, you know what? If you can't afford a set of these, or you haven't got a set of these, get a biro. Anything will do. Because at the end, ultimately, what we're doing here is not, you know, it's not a masterclass in doodling. I don't profess to be an expert. There are no experts in here, remember? All we're doing is trying out some new things. Trying out a few tricks. And the other thing is, the primary purpose of us hanging out together is precisely that. We're hanging out together. We're keeping each other company. And as the lockdown starts to lift now, I have a feeling there'll be less of us coming in together. That's all right. It's all right. There'll still be a few of us though. No. There you go. I'm just putting my patterns in here. What about you? Are you doing Kent, or are you doing an area close to your heart? This is nice. See, and relax. There you go. This is going to look good, isn't it? And then I've got that stripy one there. There you go. So let's do the stripy one too. Nice. And then it gets tighter as it goes up. Yeah. Yeah, he's Peckham. What do you do, eh? That was such a long time ago. 1997 now, since we came back from the States. 1997. Good grief. I was only 35. Is that right? Was I 35? If I was born in 1959, then that makes me, call my math, 38. Is that right? No, rubbish. 1959, 1999, that made me 40. 38. Oh, but I came back in 1995. I thought I was younger than that. Stupid girl. I came back in 1995. Oh, hang on a minute. I've lost 2 years. I'm sure. I'm sure I was older. I was definitely younger. I was 35 when we split up. So, yeah, so 35. Came home in 95. There you go. I was 36. Yeah, that makes total sense. I thought there was something wrong there. Right, so that looks good. That's going to be perfect for transferring. And we've got 5 more minutes. So now it's just a question of deciding whether we want that one or that one. Oh, I haven't finished this yet. Okay, come on, let's not rush. Let's not rush. So there we go. Yeah. I think I'm gonna change this one a bit because it's a little bit too busy. Do you know what I also thought? I mean, this is a little bit ambitious, but I was thinking, I wonder, this is a bit ambitious, you know that sort of walk before you can run thing? I was thinking, I wonder if I could make a lino cut out of this. I mean, I've got the transfer, look, I've got the transfer down. If I transferred this is exactly how you would transfer it onto lino, and then I could get my little tools out. If I'm not going to have time because I've got pottery this time. Potter. I sound like a right typical craft. So this afternoon, the pottery studio opens after a long time, and so I've joined up. Even though I've got my own pottery studio downstairs, I'm going to class because man lernt nie aus. You never stop learning, and it'd be nice to support Eunice and her team, and I'll enjoy the company. And yeah, and I've got lots of questions because there are things downstairs that I just do not know. So I'm going armed with a little notebook a potter jotter. And I'm going to ask lots of questions about kilns and about glazes. Yeah. And I won't worry about throwing anything there. I can do that here. I just want, there's questions that I've got now, you know. So I'm going to pottery this afternoon for the first time, which I'm really excited about. And then on Saturday, I've got raku because it got abandoned last year, but I paid for it. So we're doing raku on Saturday. Woohoo. I know. It's great. But in between times, if I get a chance, I'm going to transfer this to a piece of lino and see what I can come up. Wouldn't that be brilliant if I could do do you know what? I've just had a thought. Say I did that, right? And I did the same scene, instead of 3 different scenes, I'm not sure, but in lino cuts. Or I could do one stamped, one in lino cut and one, I don't know, I love lino cuts, don't you? Or one on parchment. But not on the same one, that'd be too busy. But I think I may have to try the lino. I'll show you on Friday. If I get it done, I'll show you. Otherwise it might have to wait till the weekend. Yeah. This is the thing about crafting and about the SHAC. What it's doing is it's giving us distraction, massive creative distraction. And I think that is really what this is all about. You see now, because I'm thinking, because I've promoted myself from pen and ink to tools, cutting tools and lino. I'm thinking, well, you better simplify this a bit, Gray, because there's no way in a bunch of Sundays you're going to cut this out a piece of lino. So suddenly my patterns in the hills just got a little less intricate. See? Now I'm thinking, no, I don't want to do that. Too busy. That'll do. So, what I'd like you to do before we get together on Friday, if you get a chance, it's up to you, but maybe you could transfer your pictures. Do exactly what I'm doing. Just trace them on the back of the tracing paper. You don't have to transfer them. You don't have to transfer them to a surface yet. Just add the lead to the back, and then we'll do it together. Don't have to have done that yet, because we're going to hang out in Kent for a couple of weeks. There's no rush. There's no rush on this. You can see here. See, that would do it for a paper cut. And then on Friday, when we get together at 10 o'clock, what I'll do is I'll just we'll finish. We'll go down to Dungeness, to Dymchurch. Right, we'll go down to Dymchurch, we'll finish this one, then we'll do all the transfer, and then we'll be ready to start on our penning. Right, we'll transfer and then we'll start penning, and then next week we'll just hang out in Kent because the weather's going to be glorious and the garden of England is beautiful, and we can just build some memories together. Okay. So have a lovely Wednesday. Think of me and me pottery, and stay safe. Lots of love. And I'll see you on Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning. And don't forget, if you wanna join in with me on Friday afternoon for a moment of clarity, get your stamps from Cherry Green quickly, like now, before lunchtime, and we'll print off the orders, fill the order, get it out the door so that you can join in. And what else? Oh, and don't forget, you wanted them, we got them. All right, lots of love. Bye-bye now, stay safe, and thanks for your help, Paul.